Welcome back to Takacs and McGinnis Elder Care News Hour. And in today's episode, we're talking about normal age-related changes and changes related to disease and illness. And how do we manage those processes? I'm Barbara McGinnis.
And I'm Tim Takacs, and with us in this segment is Tiffany Cloud-Mann, who is Vice President of Programs for the Alzheimer's Association Mid-South Chapter. And Tiffany here is going to talk a little bit about Alzheimer's disease, warning signs, risk factors. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, prevalence, is it going up? Is it going down? I read something recently, it's going down, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that what you're seeing, or?
Well, age is the largest risk factor for Alzheimer's. So, of course, we have our baby boomers aging, 10,000 turning 65 daily, I think, for a span of about 18 years. So many more people at risk because of age being that big risk factor. Of course, then many more caregivers. So we do see it going up because of that reason. But, of course, our ultimate goal is to see it go away. So, yeah.
So what common theories about or relate to Alzheimer's disease being on the rise? Is it just longevity?
It's that we're living longer. I think we have a better, we have more accurate diagnoses. And yeah, again, I think just living longer. Our statistics say 1 in 9, 65 and older have the disease, and by the time we get to 85, that goes to 1 in 3.
Oh.
So risk continues to rise as we get older, although there are some people that, as you all probably know, get the disease younger in life, in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. Much more rare. Typical onset is late in life.
So clearly old age is a risk factor, and that's obviously nothing that we can do anything about. So what are other risk factors for Alzheimer's disease that maybe we have some control over?
Yeah. So, there's always the genetic component. If you have a family history, you are a little more at risk than maybe someone without, but the disease is very mysterious, and I'll say family history puts you at risk, and then there will be someone who has a family history and never gets it, and vice versa. But the other factors that play into developing the disease are the things we already know about healthy living. Researchers really believe Alzheimer's risk is both genetic and environmental. So if you have a family history, you may be able to control some of your environmental factors to possibly offset the onset of the disease. So we have a campaign called 10 Ways to Love Your Brain. I'll try to remember all 10, but things like, how do you eat? Do you exercise? Do you maintain your numbers, your weight, your blood pressure, your cholesterol? Do you get enough sleep? Do you smoke? Do you stay social? How much formal education do you have? Do you try to keep your mind active with learning new things? Do you protect your head, like if you ride a bike, wearing a helmet, in your car, wearing your seatbelt? And do you manage stress and anxiety, your mental health? So they really feel like all of those things are super important if you can do them all together. And if you can manage some of those things maybe better than you're doing now, if you are predisposed for maybe a genetic component of Alzheimer's, maybe you can offset that onset of the disease.
So it sounds like the 10 ways to love your brain is something that you can start when you're 21 years old.
Oh, yeah. I say it's never too late to invest in your brain. However old you are, look at that list of things and think, okay, what's one thing I can maybe try to do a little better that I haven't been doing? But I will say the disease is still mysterious. There's some people that are going to do all the right things, and that's where research really, comes into play.
What about warning signs? What should I be looking for?
Yeah, so we have a list of 10 warning signs. You don't need all 10 to be concerned about yourself or your loved one. Really, just one would signal a trip to the doctor, because we know sometimes things like vitamin deficiencies or hormonal changes, thyroid problems can cause mimic dementia, can cause memory and confusion trouble. But the two that stand out to me the most out of those top 10, and the ones viewers may relate to and seen in their loved one, is the first one's memory loss that disrupts daily life. And the key word in that one is daily. So not just occasionally, I wake up today and I forget it's Thursday, and then I remember it a little bit later. That's kind of normal. Or I forget to pay a monthly bill, but then I remember it a few weeks later. That's normal. But when someone's memory changes start to affect them on a regular basis, regularly, and it's really affecting their quality of life, then I would say there might be something is going on there. The other one that I want to point out is number 3 on the list. It's difficulty with familiar tasks. So when you think back to someone, if you all have known someone with the disease, usually they start to have trouble with those things they've never had trouble with before. Those things they've always been good at. Mom was a great cook.
Yeah.
Dad was a great handyman, or I've been at my job for 20 years and now I'm having trouble on the job. So it's those familiar things that you start to notice, wow, they've never had trouble with this before.
Yeah, it's interesting you mention that, because I have a colleague that told me that has been diagnosed, and he said that he had trouble making change, or figuring out what the tip was at a restaurant.
Yeah, numbers.
And that was, and we had a client that he was in his like 61 years old, and he was an estimator for a contractor, and he had trouble with numbers.
Yeah.
And so he was diagnosed at age 60.
Yeah. And the second one is actually trouble with planning and solving problems. So a lot of times it has to do with numbers and following a plan.
Yeah. So, well, is there anything that we've got to look forward to? Any breakthroughs?
Yeah, I do think we're definitely moving in the right direction in terms of research. We are seeing more funding to the National Institutes of Health through the federal government than we've ever seen before. We need people to participate in those research studies, but I think with research, two things we know, well, 2 points would be, one, we know now that they can see the brain changes happen about 20 years before symptoms ever set in. So the question would be, if we could do a test at, say, an annual exam when we're 40, when we're 50, to sense that change early, then we'd need a medication to attack it. So we definitely know we can see the disease earlier before symptoms set in, but we need a way to attack it.
Tiffany, I think Barbara and I both probably get email from you about every couple days. And of course we know a lot about what the Alzheimer's Association, particularly the Mid-South chapter, does, but probably most of our viewers don't. So can you tell us about what you're doing? Yeah,
so I always kind of sum up what we do by telling people we provide support, education, and resources. So people can call us, whether their loved one has Alzheimer's or vascular dementia, whatever type of dementia they have, and we want to kind of be that one-stop shop that after they get that diagnosis, or even when they're concerned, they can come to us, they can connect with resources, they can learn more about the disease, and they can find that support through support groups. So we have a 24/7 helpline that people can call day or night. We have support groups in the community. So we really just want to be there to help people and really journey with them as they journey through the disease.
So how do I get on the mailing list? Like Barbara and I, we get email from you every 2 or 3 days.
You can delete them when you get more than you need.
We're good with them. But so a viewer that wants to know what's going on, do they go to It's right. We have your contact information up there.
Absolutely. The alz.org/care is the caregiver center, so they can find exactly what they need there. The 1-800 number will get them to a care consultant 24/7 to just ask a question to, get a resource from. And there's our local number they can call as well, but that 1-800 number is great because it's available
24/7. Great.
What's your top tip for caregivers?
Top tip would be reach out early. I think if caregivers, if they, just like with any other diagnosis, people usually get a plan from their doctor for going forward. I would say come to us. Let us help you get a plan together, because like anything else, the more you know about what you're experiencing or your loved one's experiencing, the better prepared you can be for going forward.
And I would imagine if you're, and we've seen this, of course, in our practice, family members come to us and they say, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. So what do you recommend for those people? What would be the loved one's first step?
For the caregiver?
For the caregiver.
Definitely the same, just to reach out to us.
Reach out to you.
Yeah. Even if they haven't gotten a diagnosis, reach out early, get connected with the resources that are in the community, take care of things like legal plans they need to take care of, and just find that support. And there really can be quality of life throughout the disease if they do that.
All right, great.
Thank you, Tiffany, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And when we come back, we're headed to break now, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to Brent Peterson and about Parkinson's disease. So join us.